Welcome back to the Nanaimo Now channel. First off, I'd like to say thanks for watching the channel, and go over and hit your subscribe button. Make comments about what goes on this channel. Hit your like button. Subscribing and commenting are really good for a channel. Works the algorithm, so keep that in mind. If you're watching this and you're enjoying it, show me some love and take it to the next level. Okay, where are we? Somebody is living rent-free. Oh, and this is going to be a political one. If you guys, if you don't like political stuff, turn this puppy off right now, but it's Canadian politics, and we all know you Canadians out there will love it. And everybody from around the world can see what not to do in politics. If you are interested, watch this. Okay, where was I? Somebody is living rent-free in Justin Trudeau's head. The first thing he thinks about when he wakes up in the morning and the last thing he thinks about when he goes to bed at night is Pierre Poilievre. Yes, Pierre Poilievre, his nemesis, the guy on the other side, his enemy. His enemy is now the leader of the Conservative Party. The first vote, over 68% of the Conservatives decided that he would be the best person to run this country. And mark my words, he will be the next Prime Minister, because he's grassroots. He understands what's right and what's wrong. You know, and he will take responsibility for his actions, where Justin Trudeau is sort of oblivious to this. So everything he does is, well, you know, we've got to save the world. We've got to turn everything green. We have to have a new reset. You have to be punished. If you drive your car too long, too far every month, we're going to punish you. And how are we going to punish you? Well, we're going to raise the price of fuel so that you have to pay more. Well, it doesn't matter if you live in the country. Doesn't matter if your job is 30 minutes away. We're going to punish you for getting a job 30 minutes away. There's no rhyme or reason. And if you pay a carbon tax, this is going to save the world. Well, I hate to tell the Liberal Party this, and I think every other Canadian with any brain would understand this, that, you know, 36 million strong in Canada, the second largest country in the world. We've got more trees and fresh water and space than anywhere else per person, per square foot, meter, mile, kilometer, whatever you want to say it. So even if we stopped all carbon output in our whole country, even if everybody went back to living in caves and eating vegetables only, it wouldn't make any difference to the world and the carbon output in the world. It's just the way it is, guys, because we have such a small population. So why is the Liberal government, why is Justin Trudeau and his woke community of do-gooders out there, and that's what they think they are. They think they're actually doing the world a favor. Why are they bringing in all of these ideals that are more important than putting nutritious food on the tables of your children, putting a roof over the head of homeless people that just can't afford to live in Canada anymore? They, you know, probably be better off moving to a place like Thailand or Cambodia or whatever, where you can grow food all year round. You're not going to freeze to death, and you've got a better chance there of getting a job and making a living than you do here in Canada. Okay, so then you got Pierre Poilievre, that's got years and years and years of experience in politics and sort of grassroots. He was well, not an orphan. Oh, I guess you could call him an orphan. He was given away as a child up for adoption, and you know, had to live with that, and made it to this point in his life where he could be running our country, and he will be. He will. I'll make a prediction. I'll make a prediction. He will run the country. He will. Anyway, so he's got all of this understanding about politics and how the things work and whatever. And then you've got Justin Trudeau on the other side, until he got in as Prime Minister of Canada, had a couple years of politics behind him, but he was a part-time drama teacher. He has no idea, and he still has no idea what this country is about and how to run it. And, you know, shitting on Alberta with the oil and gas, the only reason Justin Trudeau's actually in there is because Ontario and Quebec vote him in, and that's where the bulk of all of the the people are, and that mandates what the rest of the country does. So if you can sort of bribe this group of people with money from the West, because Alberta keeps paying money to the East. It's just like a big old siphon, but we can't call it a siphon because they don't allow pipelines in Quebec. So, you know, it's a train hauling money from one place to the next. Exactly. And that's why he's there. Now you've got Pierre Poilievre, raised in Calgary, Alberta, obviously has a different outlook on the way things should be run here in Canada. And the western part of the country says, well, that's the way we want it. The eastern part says, well, we're getting so much free shit from the western part of the country. We really don't want to screw with that, because, you know, Quebec without Alberta oil would be Bangladesh in Canada. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So when you have a government that has policies about giving out free money, that's going to raise inflation, because we know more money in the system. Just there's more money, less products. But it's not Justin Trudeau's fault. The carbon tax, raising the price of fuel and making everything more expensive, that didn't cause inflation in Justin Trudeau's mind. What did cause inflation was the Russian-Ukraine war and COVID. There was no inflation before that. It's that blatantly stupid. We'll take no responsibility. We'll tell you what you can and cannot do. We will punish you. We will punish your ass for driving your vehicle. We will punish you for having unacceptable views. We'll bring in an emergency act. We'll seize your bank account. We'll tell you what you can and cannot do, because we're the government. But the government is there to administrate for the people. They're not our boss. They're not the people telling us what we can and cannot do. The government is there to run the country and run it properly, so it's prosperous. Prosperous. That's the word. Prosperous for all the people in Canada. So when you raise taxes, when you bring in ideals that are more important than putting food on the table of your children, more important than putting a roof over the head of homeless people, more important than anything, because we will raise taxes, we will reset, a global reset. But only in Canada here. Everybody else around the world, they're really not that interested in it. You know, like the Americans and the Brits and the Chinese and the Indians, and they're not as woke, as green, as, you know, a lot of these countries are doing a lot of good things. But it seems like in Canada, this is the only thing, this is the most important thing. And it doesn't matter if it raises interest rates to the point where people can't afford their homes anymore. It doesn't matter if fuel goes to a higher price where people can't afford to drive to work anymore. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is the only important thing, the ideals of the Liberal Party. And then you can't help but notice that there's rules for the Liberal Party, there's rules for the elite, and there's rules for you and me. If you're on an airplane, you have to wear a mask, unless you're the Prime Minister of Canada. Yes, you can't take bribes from rich billionaires unless you're the Prime Minister of Canada. You know, there's if anybody else got caught doing these things, they would be punished, they would be put in jail. But because Justin Trudeau is the Prime Minister of Canada, the ethics committee will just slap you on the wrist and away you go again, and he'll say, I'm sorry. He'll cry a couple of those tears that he always does, and things will be great tomorrow. And the people in Quebec and Ontario will vote for him again, because why? The money that comes from Alberta, Saskatchewan will end up in the coffers of the Quebec provincial government, and everything will be hunky-dory once again. And God forbid anybody would say anything bad about the Liberals on the mainstream media. Well, why would CBC? Now let me think. This is a tough one to figure out. Why would the CBC only tell you good things about Justin Trudeau and the Liberal government, and only bad things about Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative government. Oh, maybe it might be that $675 million input of cash over a 5-year time period to fund the CBC to make it more liberal. You know what I mean? Oh my God. And then you get Poilievre on the other side is saying, well, you know, if I get in as Prime Minister of Canada, I'm going to defund the CBC. Yes. So the CBC promotes a living bejesus on Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party, and tells you only the bad stuff about it. And you can see it happening now, where he was on a little speech here the other day where he was saying, oh, this is a bad time to tell, to say bad things, it's dangerous, it's this, it's that, as he's doing it himself, you know what I mean? But it goes back to that thing, it's okay for the Liberals, but for anybody else, it's not okay to do these things. So if there wasn't the power of social media, power like this here, in this little studio, in Nanaimo, on Vancouver Island, 1,000 miles away from anywhere, really, you know what I mean? If it wasn't for little operations like this that get literally thousands and thousands of views, should be more. If you subscribed, it would be more. Anyway, or make comments. Like button, you know, that's my promo in the middle of this video. Like it or not, it's my video. So anyway, so without the power of social media, a lot of people out there in the world wouldn't actually get to understand how people like us feel in this Canadian society. They would think if you're abroad in Europe or in South America or in Australia, you wouldn't know what was going on in Canada or how the people thought if it wasn't for social media. And it's another way to sort of link Canadians across the country together, knowing that you're not the only one out there that thinks the way that I think. So when you're looking at the CBC, a national media outlet supported by the Liberal government, getting paid off by the Liberal government, and then Justin Trudeau goes to an outing with his buddies and makes a joke about it. Makes a joke about $675 million worth of input to the CBC, and that's why the CBC doesn't tell bad things about him. Check this out.
You sometimes hear about liberal bias in the media these days, how they're constantly letting our government off the hook for no good reason. Frankly, I think that's insulting. It's clear that they let us off the hook for a very good reason, because we paid them $600 million. You don't get stellar headlines like these without greasing the wheels a bit.
So how do you like that? You know, and they say, oh, but it's just a joke. Even the CBC does a thing. Well, oh, nobody can take a joke. He didn't mean this. He didn't mean. Well, the CBC would say that, right? Well, you know, if I was the CBC, I was getting $675 million. That's not pocket change, boys. That's big bucks. I would say the same thing. So, you know, the idea that the Canadian taxpayer, myself, I don't see the humor in spending $675 million for the CBC to be a lapdog of the Liberal government here in Canada. Paying my money is going for their media campaign. It's got to be illegal, right? Right? Rather than spending $675 million on propaganda rhetoric for the Liberal government, I think that $675 million would be better spent on homes for the homeless, North Park centers, medical centers for drug addicts, nutritional food for children, more doctors being educated in Canada so we could get family doctors. There's so many things that are so more important than propaganda rhetoric for the Liberal government. But you see, because this government doesn't care about the Canadian citizens, They only care about their ideals. And it's strange because I've never seen this before in any country around the world where ideals and wokeism is more important than your children, more important than your health, more important than housing your people, more important than anything. We got to turn green, guys. It's the only way, or the world is going to end. Well, in Canada, even with global warming, this is going to help Canada for the next 100 years because we are freaking cold here. Sure, there's going to be weather problems around the world. There's going to be more fires in BC. There's going to be this, that, and the other thing. But is it worth having people living on the streets of Vancouver in tents? Or Nanaimo in tents? Is it worth people, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, there's always a homeless person or two every winter found dead, frozen to death. Is it worth all of this just for this small group of Liberal government employees of our Canadian society ideals and wokeism? Is it worth it? You tell me. Comment section below. So where are we going to go from here, guys? You got Jagmeet Singh from the NDP shoring up the Liberal government. It's not what you voted for, but you see, they don't care. They give our rat's ass what you want, what you think is right. This guy wants this. This guy wants this. They're all in it for their political careers, so to speak, except for the wokeism that they want to change everything green. Well, you should spend some time on a farm in Saskatchewan. A farmer that's been there for 50 years. He knows how much fertilizer to use on his crops. He's not going to go out there and spend a whole bunch of money on more fertilizer if he doesn't have to grow his crops. So a 30% reduction in nitrogen fertilizer is bullcrap as far as the farmer is concerned. He's saying, like, what's the matter with you people? We're not putting in anything more than we have to grow our crops properly, and that's just the way it is. But then some dognut politician from Ottawa, like Justin Trudeau, that has no experience in farming, none, zero, nothing, and all of his cronies around him that know how to push a pencil and a piece of paper, they have no idea what's going on. Go over it quick. Dick McDick, he's a YouTuber out of Saskatchewan. He did a video on this and it's really good. I think I'll put a link to in the description below here. But the idea that these people are making these decisions on your behalf and they have no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea. Do this, do that. Well, why? We don't know. It's going to make the world a greener place, a better place. Yes, but you're going to drop 30% production off the farmer's bottom line. You're gonna have 30% less food. This is going to impact people around the world. Not just the farmer for losing money, as you're raising his carbon tax, so his fuel and diesel's more, and you're lowering his, it's like the Liberal government is out there to make everybody in Canada poorer, needier, more homeless, less food, less health care, they're doing everything that they possibly can to screw with our lives. And the people in Ontario and Quebec are voting for these people. Like, what the hell's the matter with you guys? Like, shake your head, think about what happens in the future, and move over to the Conservative side, because that's the only choice we have. Is Pierre going to be better? I don't know. But at least he seems to have more of a grasp on reality than the Liberals do, and I think that's what we need in this country right now. I've only been back in country for 5-6 months now. I've never seen a place like this so screwed up that it's getting to a point where people can't afford to feed their kids. People can't afford their homes. People can't even afford to rent an apartment. People can't afford to live in a tent. What are you going to do? You can't live here. You can't do this. You can't do this. If you do this, we'll punish you by taxing you more. Why? Because we're going to save the world. I think you should save Canada and let the world save itself. And that, my friends, is another rant video on Nanaimo Now. A little political? Yeah, you know, sometimes you gotta go there. If I don't go there, the power of social media is very powerful. The power of mainstream media is more powerful, but if all the social media accounts get together and do their thing here in Canada, I think we can reach just about as many, if not more, people out there in Canada than your mainstream media that costs $675 million of your taxpayer dollars. Anyway, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, push that share button, and thanks for watching. Till next time, peace out. Bye now.